So, hi, I am Shannon, and I just want to talk a little bit about why books are so important. All right. So, I've been able to write a book, and since then, I have helped hundreds of high paying clients. I've landed press and media, and also secured a television and film licensing deal, all from my story, all from writing a book. All right. So, today, I really want to talk about why a book. So, this is the thing. We are into a new shift, okay? This is why I call this the undeniable era. This is why I have called this also undeniable author. Because here is what I know is that a lot of the high paying clients and buyers that you're looking for, they're shifting off of social media, okay? They're no longer paying and looking to pay people who they feel like are performing. They're not looking for influencers, they're looking for real thought leadership, right? And that is the beauty of the book. So let's get into it. So now you may see that a lot of your ads may not be performing as well. You may also see that a lot of your content and a lot of things that you were doing in the past that used to convert just isn't converting anymore. And there's a real reason for that. The reason for that is because we are in a major trust recession. Okay. So I don't know about you, but I'm not waiting for Meta to fix any of that. I'm not waiting for them to notice that there's a problem. I'm taking my business into my own hands, and I know that you are in that same place as well. So, we're going to talk about the beauty of a book. All right. So, like I said, I came into this industry in 2017. I literally went from an unknown to a known very quickly. And I was able to build a seven-figure brand all from being a teen mom, right? I went from someone who was unknown to known because I understood the power of my story and I also understood the power of a book. All right. So it's one thing to share your story, but it's another thing to write a book, but also write a book in a way that converts an audience. All right. So we're going to talk about all of that today. So, as I stated before, a lot of the higher paying ticketed clients who we are looking to attract and work with, a lot of them are readers. Okay. A lot of them are already reading, they're already digesting other people's content, their books. And so, we really want to tap into that market. They're also looking for people who have a real expertise and actually prove their mastery, right? So I don't know about you, but I'm very excited. I'm very excited that we are in this new shift. A lot of the fake it till you make it people are dying out, right? That content is no longer converting. People are very skeptical. So they are keeping their eyes open for real leadership, real thinking, and people who have actually mastered the thing. So if that's you, if you're a real expert, then you're definitely going to win in this season. All right. Another thing that I want to point out as well is that Barnes and Noble has already picked up this shift and they have quietly opened 70 stores in 2025. All right. So Barnes and Noble also sees this shift and they are responding. So they are looking to open up more stores in 2026 and moving on because they understand that the author is back. They also understand that people are coming more offline and they're looking for in-person things. They want to actually touch books. They don't want to just, read them online or just hear them on Audible. They literally want the experience, all right? People want to come back to live events. People want to hear people speak on stages again. People want to actually come out and touch people again. And this is why the author will win in 2026 and moving forward in this new shift, right? Because in order to win in this new shift, you really have to be able to prove that you can actually do a thing. You have to be able to prove that you have a real expertise. And we already know that you can't do that doing long form content. You can do that in a 60-second reel, but you can't do that in a 10, 15, 20, 30 minute webinar or anything like that, right? And being able to put that in a book just does a lot of heavy lifting for you. So we're also going to talk about that as well. So why a book is your next power move. right? So here's the thing about a book allows you to gain your audience organically. Okay. So you're not struggling with the algorithm like literally people can find you and discover you organically. We are going back to the basics. We're going back to the old, where people are going to Google you. People are going to look you up. Like people are going to do research on you. People are no longer just seeing you show up and then hitting the buy button. No. People are going to literally sit down, Google you. They're going to go through all of your stuff. They're going to really make sure and vet you. Okay. This is the era that we're going back to. Now, when I started in 2017, we were already in that era. And I'm so glad I started then because I understood even then that I needed to learn to master a thing. And I worked on my mastery and I took it very seriously. Okay. So around 2020, we saw the market shift, and everybody and their mother was a coach, right? We saw that shift. And so they would literally take a course on yesterday and teach it tomorrow. And so a lot of people have been scammed. A lot of people have really been able to open their eyes and say, wait a minute, let me take some time to really vet people. All right. So the people who really have mastered a thing are going to win significantly in this season. Number two, a book nurtures and educates your audience. Okay. So I know that a lot of you may have funnels and things of that nature, but just imagine this. Let's just imagine that someone came across your book. Maybe they saw you at an event, saw you speaking on a stage, or they came across you on Amazon. Okay. And they bought your book. The beauty of a book is that people can read your book in their own time. All right. And if you know anything about sales psychology, is that when people can sell themselves, they're already halfway closed. No convincing, no performing, none you cut literally all of that out. And inside of the undeniable era and inside of undeniable author, I teach you how to write a book strategically because it does require strategy. I show you how to write a book that literally converts them and takes them through a buyer's journey from a book. Okay. So the beauty of that is that whenever they read that book and they show up on your sales call, they show up at your event, your webinar, however you sell, they're going to buy. Okay. Anytime I get someone on my sales call and they are familiar with my books or anything about me, I know that unless I do something crazy on this call, they're going to close. All right. And the beauty of a book is they've taken their time to go through the information on their own schedule without you performing, without you on a webinar, without you in their ear. And when they pick up the phone to get on the sales call or come to your live event or however you sell, they're going to buy. The reason for them to even come is to buy. I don't even call those sales calls or sales conversations. I just call those closing conversations. They literally show up with credit card in hand, just wanting to know the details of the program. How many weeks is it? How much does it cost? How can we work this out and this out? Right? Those are the only questions they have at that point, which is why I love books. So whether they read the book last week or they read the book last year, it's compounding, right? Like it compounds over time. Like those leads are going to continuously continue to compound upon one another. And before you know it, you're going to be selling and selling and selling, right? And that's exactly what happened in my business. You're also going to attract a higher quality client, right? So if you know anything about sales, then you understand that people who are at the highest level are usually readers. Okay. These aren't the people who are scrummaging around at the bottom. No, people who read are usually higher income. They are usually higher educated and they just usually have a certain lifestyle. Okay. They usually have more disposable income and all of that. So you attract a higher quality client specifically because you're an author. Like attracts like. Okay. People who are moving at the highest level, they only work with people at the highest level. So if you're wondering why you're not attracting affluent clients, that's one of the reasons why. It is definitely your positioning. Okay. A book is the biggest positioning factor that you can enter into your business, all right? And then, of course, we know it turns strangers into buyers. So, just like I stated before, when you write the book in a strategic way, you're going to take them through the buyer journey and you're going to convert them. You take a cold audience and you turn them into a warm or hot audience. And it's simpler than you think. A lot of people think that writing a book is so hard. It is not hard. The beauty about being an entrepreneur, especially if you're someone who mastered a thing, you already have talks. You already have webinars, you already have speeches, you already have blogs, you already have all of that stuff. We literally show you how to take all of that stuff up and turn it into a book. The biggest key about that is turning it into a system, which is what we teach inside of Undeniable Author. Like, how do you take this information? How do you organize it properly? And how do you streamline it in the way to it walks people through a specific process? All right. That is where most authors lose, is not understanding a process and only wanting to share a story or only just wanting to say that they're a published author. Okay. You have to understand transformation and you have to understand sales psychology and you have to understand the buyer's journey. All right. And those are the things that we teach inside of Undeniable Author. And so that's number one. It's simpler than you think. Number two, it builds instant trust and credibility. So, like I said before, imagine someone taking your book, reading it, they sell themselves. You don't sell them, they sell themselves on your process, on your methodology. And then they come to the call or event and they buy. Also, I call books the big domino, right? So, the big domino is a thing that you can do that knocks down other things simultaneously. That is why you see the most successful people who are at the top of any industry are always going to be an author. I don't care what industry it is. You're always going to see the people who are moving at the very top. They are going to be an author because they understand that being able to work smarter and not harder. Wealthy people understand that their time is their most valuable asset. So they are going to do something that's going to knock down all of the other things simultaneously. Okay. So what does that look like? When you write a book, you're automatically seen as an authority. Okay. You can literally come into the industry in a year and write a book and have someone who's been teaching the same thing that you teach for ten years. They could be in it for 10 years, you could be in it for one, and you'll still be seen more as an authority than they are. Okay. They understand this, which is why they always write a book. Number two, they understand the power of branding. Okay. So I'm very good at building brands. I'm a brand builder, which is why I wrote a book first. So when I came into the industry, I was a teen mom, right? Jumping from job to job. But I also was in the music industry, which is what separates me from a lot of the industry, right? I have a unique perspective because I understood. I've literally watched celebrities go from unknown to unknown on record labels, right? I saw how they took artists and they literally put a machine behind them and turned them into a brand. Okay. So I understood branding. So when I came into the industry, I said, what is the thing that I can do that's going to create the fastest results? I said, I'm going to write a book because I understood that I needed to be seen as an authority, which is public perception. Okay. This is what you need to understand about branding. It is never about what you think, it is always about what your public thinks. Okay. Perception is reality. That's something that we're going to talk about inside of Undeniable Author. A lot of entrepreneurs fail in the branding space because they don't understand these nuances. Okay. It's not what you think about your brand. What you think about your brand means nothing. It's always about what they think, which is what celebrities do. Celebrities use status, they use smoke and mirrors. I'm not telling you to use smoke and mirrors, but this is why they win. Celebrity is a strategy within itself. Status is a sales strategy within itself. Okay. So if you can be seen as a celebrity, if you can be seen as someone highly influential in status, you automatically skyrocket your sales just by doing that alone. Okay. This is why the gurus at the top of the industry are really writing books. I'm going to pull back the curtain and let y'all see. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. You can't unsee it. Okay. All right. So I'm going to tell you why media loves books. Now, if you've done your research on me, you may see that I've also turned my book into film. So I have television and film licensing deals with Amazon Prime, Tubi TV, the Roku channel. This is why I have such a unique perspective on all of this because I understand branding from a celebrity standpoint. I've worked with celebrities, been under celebrities, was, in the music industry. I've also sold and pitched my own film and television to networks, right? So I know television executives, I know music executives. Like literally, I've been in the rooms, all right? And so I understand how they think and I understand what they do to sell their movies, to sell their television shows, to sell their artists and celebrities. Okay. This is why I'm good with branding and storytelling and all of that because it all works the same. All right. Well, they all work together. So the media loves authors because writing a book shows proof of knowledge. Now, if you know anything about media, they vet everything. Okay. They are going to investigate you, which is why a lot of people can't get into media because if they can't vet you, you're not getting on their show. You're not getting prime time. You're just not. All right. And so another reason why the gurus at the top of the industry use books is because they know that a book is going to get them on Good Morning America. They know that the book is going to get them on their news. They know the book is going to get them in certain media opportunities that they will never get. Your podcast is not going to get you on Good Morning America. Your course is not going to get you there. Your coaching business is not going to get you. None of that stuff is going to get you to prime time. Okay. So think about it like a guru. They say, what is the quickest way that I can come into an industry and get seen as someone who is influential and also convert an audience? So the first thing that they do is work on their status and influence, guys. Pay attention. If you look at any guru or any industry, they work on their status and influence first because they understand that that is the domino. Like that is the thing that knocks down everything else. All right. And so they know a book is the fastest way to do that. That they're not singers. They're not dropping albums, right? They're not doing all the stuff that celebrities do. They're not getting into movies. So what can the average everyday person do? They can write a book. And that is why they do it. All right. Also, it shows commitment. So completing a manuscript demonstrates a level of commitment and discipline that commentators lack. So a lot of commentators, a lot of your competition don't have the discipline. And the discipline within itself is a strategy for the media. All right. Because, like I told you before, the media is always vetting. They're always looking to see who can I put in front of my audience who they can trust because they are looking at it. This is their job on the line. This isn't just something that they're just doing, right? This is their audience who trust them to put people in front of them that are credible. So there's no easier way to do that than to be an author. If you know anything also about producers, producers can get lazy. If you can literally, and this is what I teach you inside of Undeniable Author, if you can literally help do their job for them, they're going to book you, right? There's a specific strategy that I show you how to do to get you in media because I show you how to do their job. They don't always want to do the grunt work of doing all the investigation. They just want to be able to go on Amazon and say, oh my gosh, this person has a book. They read through the reviews and they vet you, right? And if you can pitch them specifically, it's already in the bag, right? And that leads me to the next thing. You borrow other people's credibility. So I'm going to borrow the credibility of a Good Morning America. I'm going to borrow the credibility of this person and that person and that person, right? I'm going to borrow the credibility of Amazon. I'm going to borrow the credibility of Barnes and Noble. Once you borrow their credibility, it automatically goes to your brand. Which think about Nike. Nike is the perfect company when you think about this. They bring in very high caliber athletes. Why? So that they can borrow their credibility. That is how Nike exploded. Pepsi, Coca-Cola, they all did the same thing. They brought in celebrities so that they could borrow their credibility and their audience. All right? That's part of branding. Also, it shows that you can curate ideas. It shows refined storytelling, media ready angles. I told you, producers can be lazy. If you can show angles that are already in your book, right? You indoctrinate your audience. And we're going to talk about that as well. You already have an angle, a unique angle that they don't have to look for, right? Your sound bites and the things that you're saying, they're like, okay, I like that. I like that. I like that. I would love to bring them in front of my audience. You do a lot of the heavy lifting for them where they don't have to go and look for this stuff. Right. That's the beauty. That is why you see so many authors who do media. All right. It also has third party validation, persona itself is a brand, okay? Like I told you before, I've worked with celebrities. I've been in the music industry. I've sold television and film. I've been on sets, production. I produce my own stuff, like my own documentary. And so the persona within itself is a brand. Authors are often seen as brands themselves, providing persona that audiences can connect with emotionally. Okay. And half the battle of sales and sales psychology is the connection. All right. And so if you can connect with an audience very quickly, then you're going to make money very quickly. If you have status, you're seen as someone credible, you're seen as someone who has expertise, you're knocking down all these things at one time. That is why books that is why they stand the test of time. There's not another strategy that you can see that's going back thousands of years. Thousands. When have you ever seen books fail? When? Right? Alex Hermosi just dropped the book. Did you see he sold 3.6 million copies of his book in one day? I did a podcast about it. Why are they still writing books? If books are so, not the thing anymore, then why are they still writing them? Think about that. All right. They're going to tell you they're not working as they're writing one. Okay. Long form value in a short form world. We are moving into mastery, the undeniable era. Like I said before, you have to prove your mastery in this next era. Okay. Short form content is no longer going to work for big spenders, affluent clients. Now, if you want to keep people who are, still spending small and they may spend 10,000, 15,000 with you, but if you want to like really, really have programs where you have $50,000 masterminds, 100,000 masterminds and all of that, you're going to have to do long form. You're going to have status and you're going to have influence. It's no way around that. Influential people only work with influential people. Think about it. That's just the way that it goes. They can tell you whatever, but you already know with your own eyes how that works, right? If someone who has influence doesn't see you as influence, 9 times out of 10, you won't even be in their circle. Okay? So it also shows relatability. It also shows engagement. Now, this is something I found very interesting when I did my research is that the mystique of being a writer often attracts audience fascination. I found that interesting that the media understands that authors are still very fascinating to their audience, right? When they say that they're bringing on an audience, when they tell their audience they're bringing on the author, they tune in, they lean in, right? When you tell somebody you're an author, they immediately lean in. When you can get people to lean in, they're already half sold. They're already half sold, right? The wow factor. it still has the wow factor because no matter if there's AI or whatever, people understand that books take time, books take discipline. It's not even the fact that they're hard to write, they just take a lot of discipline, and people reward discipline, okay? Because a lot of people just don't have it. That's why people reward people who have college degrees, not because they have a degree, but because they have the discipline to finish. That's why people reward people in the military, not because they were in the military, but because they know that they're very disciplined. And discipline is a very lost art, guys. That is what's going to help you to win and stand out is discipline. These kids and these newcomers that are coming, they don't have discipline. They can't speak on a topic for longer than 60-second reels, right? This is the thing that's going to make you stand out. Your thought leadership, right? And then indoctrination, like indoctrinating them into your philosophy, into your methodologies, into what you believe through your own lens, your own story, your experiences is what's going to actually be the thing that separates you. Okay. So let's talk about the longevity. Okay. One asset that works forever. Tell me another asset that you can do that works for the rest of your life. I'll wait. You won't find one. Napoleon Hill died in 1970. I bought his book in 2019. How many people are still buying from dead authors? Do you not know that people put their books inside of trusts? That's how powerful books are. They put it as part of their estates. Okay? So if the people at the top of the industry know this, why isn't everyone else doing it? Okay, why? And if you really do your research and trace a lot of these gurus who you follow, you will always trace them back to a book, almost guaranteed being the thing that really skyrocketed their business. They're not going to tell you that, right? But I can almost guarantee it. So let's talk about Russell Brunson. Okay. Russell Brunson said that having a book gives you a different level of legitimacy and makes you a real expert. That's what Russell Brunson said, noting that after years of not having one, people saw him differently once he did. Russell Brunson. If you know anything about Russell Brunson, he's written several books and is still writing books. And he said he will always write books until he dies. And he even opened a museum for authors, like for dead authors or something like that. You guys know what I'm talking about. He has a museum literally for authors because he said that books was the thing that skyrocketed his success. He even coined the book funnel, y'all. Think about it. This man literally has what's called a book funnel. And he's taught Alex Hermosi. He's taught a lot of the gurus in the industry on this funnel, guys. All right. Why are they doing this if they're not working? Let's talk about Les Brown. He says, tell your unique story. Brown emphasizes that your story is special and has the power to create impact and wealth. So Les Brown talks about it from a story perspective. I'm very heavy on story as well. I believe story is the biggest differentiator you can ever have in your business because nobody has lived your life. Nobody sees the world like you see it. No one has your perspective. Even your twin. Even if you have an identical twin, you would not have the same exact identical story. Okay. And so he teaches it from, story and impact. Lisa Nichols. Nichols emphasizes that writing is a tool for self discovery and that a good book requires opening your heart to share your story. So she teaches it from a transformative perspective about opening your heart, empathy. I also talk about that in Undeniable Author. Having empathy is one of the biggest sales strategies you can ever have. And it should be real, okay? Like, I'm not telling you to go out here and fake empathize with people. No, empathy is really, really big. If you can empathize with your audience, if you can, allow your audience in on your journey and they can see themselves in your journey, they're sold. Okay. That's another reason why books win. It's because it creates belonging. It allows people to see themselves. It shows that you're a human being and not just, someone out here that's selling programs and courses or whatever, right? It shows that you're human and people connect to humans. All right. People connect to humans. Let's talk about Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone views books as a critical component to his 10x philosophy. Now, I talked about indoctrination earlier, right? So you indoctrinate your audience. If you want to create a movement, I have the new undeniable era movement. That's an indoctrination. Okay. And so that's getting people on board with what you believe and how you see stuff and how you see something or a topic. So Grant Cardone used the 10x rule, he turned it into a book. He created a movement, right? How many of us have heard about the 10x rule? And when he did that, how many business owners were 10xing their business, right? Alex Hormozy, he considers his books a more significant, longer lasting achievement than his own businesses. He says his books are more important than his businesses. He says aiming for them to be evergreen resources that build trust. Okay. So he looks at his books as an evergreen resource, which they can be. Like books, oh my gosh, they can have their own funnel. You can literally run an ad to a book. And the beauty about a book is you could do it several ways. You could give the book away for free, but because I teach you how to write the book in a certain way, it doesn't matter. You can give it to everybody for free. The book is written specifically to convert, right? So as long as you write a book that converts, it doesn't matter. You can also do the free plus shipping, right? Russell Brunson is big on this strategy. If you've ever seen people do the free shipping, get the book free plus the shipping, Russell Brunson is big on that. He didn't create that, but that's definitely a strategy that he uses over and over and over and over and over again. Then we have Brene Brown. She said, Brown teaches that writing is an act of courage and that the best writing is vulnerable. All right. So she even talks about how much books play into her own ecosystem. All right. These are the things that open up doors that get people to take you seriously, that push you in certain circles. Okay. Being an author is automatically going to put you in certain circles. People see you in a different light, people see you in a different way. And then, of course, authority, voice, and legacy. Your book is your platform. It is your platform. You don't have to worry about doing this and that and that and that. You can literally just use a book. I've had sales teams, I've had setters, I've had closers. I literally went through 9 salespeople in 90 days. I paid companies tens of thousands of dollars for sales teams. And if any of you know what I'm talking about, you know that that is a headache. Okay? Training salespeople, oh my gosh, I would rather set my eyebrows on fire. That was just not my thing. But it was a necessary evil, right? Where I was in my business, it was growing, it was expanding, it was exploding. I needed salespeople. But I said, but if I could really simplify this and I can have something that does a lot of the heavy lifting for me, I was able to then scale down on my sales team. And I was so grateful for that. All right. And my book allowed me to do that. So it allows you to own your voice, share your philosophy, story, and perspective, take a stand. If you feel very strongly about something, you can build conviction, authority. Another thing is you own it. You're not fighting with the algorithm. You own the book. You can put the book anywhere, right? You can literally run an ad to the book, and the book does a lot of the heavy lifting and it converts people into instant paying clients, right? Not downloading your free guide. Like they pay instantly. So it's a built-in buyer filter. When someone buys even a $1 book, they're no longer a freebie seeker. And if any of you know anything about the difference between a paying client and a freebie seeker, they're totally different. They're totally different. If they pull out a credit card, even if it's just for $1, the amount does not matter. What matters is the fact that they trusted you enough to even pull out a card. Okay. And if they pull it out once, they'll pull it out again. Right? The buyers are more committed, they're more qualified, and more likely to invest again, right? So they open up doors. We talked about the media opportunities, press features, speaking engagements, authority, status. Don't forget status. Status is a huge selling. component. That's why the gurus win. They win with status, y'all. I promise you, they win with status. All right. It creates a full business ecosystem. So now your business is the ecosystem and you can convert it into other things. So not only is it the funnel, right? It now turns into talks, it now turns into workshops, it now turns into content, it now turns into podcasts, it now turns into offers, it now turns into funnels. And if you're an introvert and someone who doesn't like to show up all the time, you never have to think about what to post. Why? You just open your book and say, I'm going to talk about that today. You take the book, turn it into a series. You take the book and talk about it in an article. You take the book, like, I think y'all get where I'm going with it. You can literally turn it into a webinar. Like the content is already there, the foundation is already there. Okay. So each chapter can become its own product, its own training, its own revenue system. You'll never run out of things to say. And here's the thing, the shift is already happening, right? It's already happening. The trust recession is here. It's not coming, it's already here. High level buyers are leaving social media. They're buying from people they trust and seen as experts. So here's how high level buyers buy. They buy from referrals. They buy from within their own circles and they buy from people who they see as experts. That's it. Affluent buyers only buy from those three things. Okay. And now more than ever, they are definitely honing in and circling in and going deeper into their own circles. Okay. They're like, refer me to somebody, or you need to show up as an expert out the gate. So, this is your new strategy. Your book becomes your new funnel, it becomes your authority builder, it becomes your lead generator, and it is now your new sales system. So, you can sell it, give it away, turn it into an audio book as well. You can also do that. And then, I've already talked about how Barnes and Noble, they've seen the trend. They opened up 70 stores in 2025. They're going to continue to open up stores because now they see that people want books again. People want to read again. People want to touch authors again. People want real again. Okay. People want real again. And the best part, this replaces your current strategy. So if you're tired of showing up, feeling like you're performing, nothing's converting, fewer sales call, less launching, less chasing, allow your status and your authority to sell for you. Allow them to get the book and the book then sells for you. The domino effect. The domino effect. One system, one funnel, one ecosystem. Okay. So if you're ready, inside Undeniable Author, I teach you exactly how to write a book that actually sells and scales. All right. Sells and scales your brand. I show you how to turn it into a funnel. I show you how to build your authority and your brand because I do teach branding techniques. Okay. I do teach branding techniques. I don't believe in just being an author. I don't believe in just being someone who says they wrote a book. I believe in the entire brand of it, which is why I turned mine into film and, pitched it to networks and all of that. I wanted to go bigger and bigger and bigger. All right. And it's only $80 for the entire year. So for a very small investment, you get access to all of this. And you can literally shift your business and get ready and get ahead of the curve. All right. Get ahead of the curve. I guarantee you, by the time that this year ends, you're going to see more and more people writing books. You're definitely going to see the gurus writing books. Okay. They're definitely going to be dropping more books. And you're going to see more and more people start stepping up into their authority and owning their voices because your voice can't be duplicated, right? The truth never expires. That stuff, it doesn't go out of style. It's timeless. So we want to create legacy. We want to create timeless brands, right? We're not chasing trends. We're experts. We're not influencers. We're not influencers. We're thought leaders. We're experts. Okay. And this is the exact strategy that took me from unknown to building a seven-figure business, literally a teen mom, right? I had my daughter at 17 years old and I skipped from job to job and doing all kinds of things. And it's like, if I can do it, there's nothing special about me. I just understood what moved the needle. Okay. And I shot past a lot of people who was in the industry who have PhDs, y'all. I shot past people who have masters, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, none of that stuff matters. People don't care about your degree. They don't. Mhm. They don't care if you went to school. They don't care about any of that. They care about results. Can you provide a result? That's all they care about. Promise you. So one book, one system, one ecosystem. Let's get it, guys. I can't wait to see you inside. I can't wait to see you create these books. I cannot wait to see you really, really shift your business, step into your authority, own your voice, right? Own your mastery and stand in it and be proud of it. Transform lives. That is why we're here, right? That is why we're here. So I look so forward to seeing you guys inside. Let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to reach out. Hello at poppublishing.com if you want to reach out to me as well. And I look forward to working with you guys. See you on the inside.